ladies and gentlemen, to Street News. I'm your host, L Mac. Let's get into it, baby. Now look, the VP, Miss Harris. I'm not sure why everyone wants to vote on her. I'm not getting it. I've been looking at videos and I'm coming up with, she's repeating herself. Every time you ask her the question about what she's going to do to help the economy, she starts talking about her childhood.
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid.
And I've heard it like
my mother
20 times already.
She worked very hard.
Boom. What's wrong with you, girl?
Stop right here.
And another thing, if they wanted to close the border, like Trump said, all you got to do is make a phone call. That's it. So what is making you guys keep that border open? There's a catch-22 behind that. We don't know exactly what it is, but we're going to find out. Now, from my opinion, is that I think she's keeping the border open because they're trying to get illegal immigrants to vote. That's what I'm thinking, so she can get those votes. But anyway, I put together this video. Now, I thought a lot of black women would be on her side, but it's come to find out it ain't too much going like that. So, without further ado, let's get this pushing. I'll see you in a little bit.
Kamala and her running mate have been a demolition force in America throughout both their careers. Kamala failed us miserably with her VP assignment on the border crisis. She has allowed so many, do y'all hear me? So many undocumented people to come through our borders that they now could probably count as another state inside of America. Did you hear me? Is this what we're doing now? And here is Tim Walsh, who have allowed Minnesota to actually be burned down by riots. I said burned down cities and businesses. Is this what we're doing now? Listen, these are two of the most absolute worst. One worse and one worse. And they are touting on how they aren't going to allow us to go backward in unrest and riots. They were the ones who backed the riots, y'all, in the streets. They're the ones who did this. We just gonna sit here and believe that everything they're saying about themselves now is what has been? So we are going to allow Kamala and Tim to eradicate and erase, in Kamala's words, we're going to let them unburden us by what has been the burden, or by what has been done by the both of them. Is this what we're doing now?
Burdened by what has been, what can be. Unburdened 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 by what has been, who we can be. Unburdened by who we have been.
I'm just hurt that you have black people running around campaigning a woman who don't even care about. This woman shook her head. I'm not going to do nothing just for black people. She was so emotional in her. She could have just said, we can't only serve the American Africans. That's something we can think about. She shook her head. The 2 drops of ancient African DNA came out of that South Asian woman. The 2 drops of ancient African melanin came out of that East Indian woman. And she shook her head and said, I'm not going to do nothing just for black people, with emotion.
Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about
Trump got 34 felonies and they still want this. 34? 34. Think of the most notorious nigga you know. Nigga, he ain't got 34 felonies. That nigga got more felonies than the worst nigga you know. That's crazy. The worst nigga you know maybe have 7. 10 if he was just on a high-speed chase type shit. Nigga Tip said he a 7-time felon. That's only 7. Bruh, all that nigga friends in jail for not telling on him. Right. He didn't even get him out. That nigga got Kodak Black out of jail, bruh. Who else he got out? Did he get? He got Lil Wayne out there. Got Lil Wayne? Yeah. Come on, bruh. All I know is that last time that nigga was the president, niggas who ain't never had no paper before had some paper before. I don't know where the fuck they got it from. It's just the way that they had that shit trickling down through the social economic climate. But niggas was getting money when that nigga was there. I ain't saying vote for him. I'm not endorsing him. I just see that the streets is fucked up.
I'm not saying don't vote Democrat. I'm not saying leave the Democratic Party. I'm saying, hey, you gotta give us something.
Yeah.
And I don't mean a Juneteenth concert.
Right.
We need something that economically gives us advantage or the leverage to deal fairly with other groups of people that we're doing business with. If black men are going into trucking as felons, you can get into trucking, then we need some guarantee that if we're 13% of the population, we have 13% of the government contracts in trucking. Yeah. If I talk to a billionaire white friend of mine, he says, you know, I don't have a problem with black folks owning teams, us knowing that new team owners are going to be coming up. It's no problem as we expand. He said, but I sure would like to see black people make up 13% of the population of financiers and financiers in this country. Imagine how life changes if 13% of Wall Street are from people who came from Milwaukee, Birmingham, Oakland, California. You know, Kamala.
Well, Papa, you going to help me with this garden now? Son, I did my part. I got us a scarecrow. This is guaranteed to scare away slugs and snails and birds.
Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah. You know, we have to stay woke. Like, we're going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. All right, because this is, well, I'm just going to speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on those Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of, and so I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid? Are you gonna vote? Will you ask people that you know to vote, please? And will you ask them to vote for me?
It's up the entire campaign of Kamala Harris. And every American who really care or have any common sense, unless you just vote in party line, this should be a contributing factor to how you vote and who you decide to vote for.
In all these speeches, as good as they were, is that she's in the White House right now. Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. And for all of the talk about division and the problems in the country and people are hurting, Democrats have mostly controlled this country. Trump had it for 4. The Obamas and Biden had it for the rest of the time. And somehow, it's still all Trump's fault, and somehow she hasn't been at the center of it.
Kamala Harris gonna do you right this time, I promise.
What's the other thing we know about this population? And it's a specific phase of life. Remember, age is more than a chronological fact. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories, and they have a resident assistant. They make really bad decisions. thank a union member for vacation time?
Big plan. Uppercase T, uppercase P. Big plan. Yellow school buses, because who doesn't love a yellow school bus?
Think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up.
Also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up.
Irresponsible, it's the height of irresponsibility for the commander-in-chief to suggest that we have to build a wall across our southern border because there are terrorists who are trying to invade the country. It couldn't be farther from the truth.
K-File team scoured Kamala Harris's tweets and statements going all the way back to 2017. And what they found was more than 50 instances of Harris slamming Trump's border wall. But now, new Harris campaign ads actually showcase that very wall.
As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
And on top of critical tweets, Harris also wrote in her 2019 book, quote, "There was a bigger reason to oppose the border wall. A useless wall on the southern border would be nothing more than a symbol, a monument standing in opposition to not just everything I value, but to the fundamental values upon which this country was built. How could I vote to build what would be little more than a monument designed to send the cold, hard message, keep out?"
What's your favorite policy of Kamala's?
That's a hard one.
What's your favorite policy of Kamala's?
Her being president.
What's your favorite policy position?
Oh, yeah.
What a fun question.
I don't know. I'm picking and choosing. I mean, I really like most of them.
So you have to look at it broadly, right? It's about what she stands for right now.
What's your favorite of Kamala's policies?
All of her policies, everything from, I'm non-binary.
After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border.
Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way. The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that.
I turn around, I just get more and more sick of y'all. What in the hell are y'all celebrating? Y'all haven't seen Kamala this entire time. Kamala did the same exact thing the average nigga do when they know they're about to need you. Figure out a way to get in contact with you. She threw up a barbecue. Niggas been getting tricked for years with food. She allowed y'all to drink up all the Czech sodas that y'all wanted and take all the pictures with her that y'all wanted, showing nothing but gums and teeth. Half of the photos that y'all was able to take with this woman wouldn't have dare been captured in a photo with half of y'all if she didn't need you. She wouldn't dare be even caught standing beside some of y'all if she didn't need you. And y'all celebrating because she was able to raise up millions of dollars in 24 hours? When we got sisters and brothers out here in the world can barely provide food on the table for their families. People out here in the world hurting, and y'all in celebration mode over this fuckery.
I'm a
convicted felon, so I can't vote. But if I could, I would be voting for Donald Trump, and I'm not gonna go back and forth with nobody in the comment section who has not educated themselves on what that man done versus the things you don't like he said and you disagree on. I got family members who done said way worse, who done cut me off for way less. I came home in 2017 after serving 10 years in prison. The economy was in a way better place then than it is now, especially as an entrepreneur and a small business owner.
What makes you think she's gonna be any different from that to now? When nigga, her whole policy was locking up black men. And she married to a white man. And her children aren't fully black. So how can you understand the plight of a black woman when your mother's not black? How can you have love for us and you wasn't raised with us? The only reason she knows us is because she studied us from an Indian perspective. That's how she learned about our civil rights. And she went on to later to go to Howard University to engage in black behavior, but she went there because she was a minority that can get into this college with the Indian heritage. Y'all think Obama was black because they gave y'all a skin color. Just like this Indian woman whose daddy's Jamaican, whose daddy left them when she was a baby. She's Indian. So your mind said, I think, therefore I am. So whatever you think, that's what you are. Obama never claimed black.
So since I got a little platform, I'm going to go ahead and use it because a lot of people seem to be misinformed. Kamala Harris is not the better option. Don't be fooled just because she is a woman and she is of color. She is not for the people. And me being from the Bay Area and being around when she was actually running the district attorney's office, let me help you understand what I mean by that. And before I have gazillion people hopping in the comments, you know, talking mess regarding Trump and all that, listen, between him and her, all you're doing is picking one of the lesser evils, and that's facts. But being that I am a part of the community of families that are affected by incarcerated people, I am going to go with the person who is less inclined to locking everybody up. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that they don't know if that's correct. And I seen Yandy make a post saying that a lot of that is just propaganda. Well, let me help break it down for you. Kamala Harris grew up in the Berkeley, Oakland area. She went to law school at Hastings and graduated there and started off as a district attorney in Oakland. From Oakland, she went to Alameda before she went to San Francisco. Do y'all remember in 2010, there was that big drug lab scandal with Deborah Madden and the San Francisco Police Department? I remember specifically because I had 2 cases involved in that scandal. Let me help fill you in. She was the head district attorney at the time, and right under her was a guy named Gascon, something like that. He used to be a district attorney in Los Angeles when they had that big old scandal going on with a bunch of police misconduct. Anyhow, around that time, he was reviewing police files for misconduct, and he was basically telling her that there's no policy in place and there needs to be one for any time there's police misconduct. It needs to be reported to the lawyers and the judges on the case. She ignored him. Now,
Okay, here she go with the same statement again. Hold on to your chair. She's about to say it again. Oh, when we was raised. No, the young lady just said how she was raised. She was raised pretty good. And, you know, she's from an Indian family. And let me just say this, and I know a lot of people may not like this, but, you know, a lot of races, different races, they don't really care for black people because of what they think, okay? Not everybody acts a fool. We got good brothers and sisters out there. But this is not how they think. Let's keep going and check out what Mike Tyson got to say. Let's go.
Okay, wonderful. Good. Awesome. Madam Vice President, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for your time today. Our audience appreciates your time.
Of course.
As you know, we're sitting here in a state and arguably in front of an audience that 54 days from now could decide the outcome of this presidential election. Yeah. You hear it more than I do. People want to know more about you and about your specific plans. At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy. I wonder if we could drill down on that a little bit. When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are 1 or 2 specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was...
Stop right here. Stop right here. So, Kamala, are we just going to give the same debate answers? Is that what we're going to do? And then to my man, are you giving her questions that fit into what you know that she can answer? Okay, is it going to be any kind of off the cuff questions? Anything that's different than what she's been coached on? So
what you think about this election?
Trump's gonna win.
Is that who you want to win?
Yeah, it would be nice if he win. Yeah.
Why do you want Trump to win?
That's his man.
Yeah, he a wild nigga though, right? Trump one of them don't give a fuck type niggas. Is that the reason you want to win?
Nah, he's just a good man. You know, listen, I don't agree with all this shit. Like, nobody agrees with all my shit, but, you know, they're good people.
Right.
I mean, no one's perfect in this world. Everybody got their shit, you know.
Right.
Mike, wasn't you at the Trump party back in the days?
All the time.
I think we was all there.
I'm the reason it was the party. It was my party. They came to my party. Nigga. I used to fight in his hotel when I was a kid.
Word?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
15 times there.
One, if you win, what's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't want people coming in. We want people to come in, Harris, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. I want people to come into our country, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy way down. I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down so people can buy bacon again, so people can buy a ham sandwich again, so that people can go to a restaurant and afford it.
All right, America, there you go. See, to me, it's just something that's just not quite right with her. You've been there 3.5 years, almost 4 now, and you have not changed anything. As a matter of fact, I don't remember seeing you and Biden on TV at all much through these 4 years. I always see Trump. They always on him about something. So if somebody is acting up like that and you can't put him in jail, 34 felonies? Come on, man. Somebody not telling the truth. Anyway, thank you guys for showing up to my channel. L Mac is in the house, and I shall see you on the next one.